Yes, day 24. Happy Christmas Eve, everybody. We got there. I've completed another Advent repair challenge. So in this one, I bought a huge pallet, over 300 kilograms of 40 items, and I've been trying to work my way through and fixing them. The video today is long. You don't have to watch it all in one go. There will also be some items that you've seen before. Unfortunately, the pallet does have a lot of duplicate items. There's not a lot I can do about that, but it doesn't mean the fixes are not interesting. So if you've got stuff to do today, don't waste your time watching me. Go and do that stuff. But if you've got nothing to do, put your feet up and hopefully you will enjoy the next couple of hours of fixing. If you don't like any of the items, you can always skip through. If you want to just see how much I bought the pallet for and what I think theoretically I've made money-wise on the pallet, then you can go to the very end of the video. A massive thank you to everybody that's watched day 1 to 23. If you haven't already, well, you've got a lot of content to get through. Sit back, enjoy. Let's get started.
A Tiffany lamp.
Here we have what looks like a Tiffany lamp, but it's all in bits. So that looks nice, if that's what you're into. I think the Tiffany lamps are expensive. I think they're called Tiffany. I remember that from years ago, but I don't know why. And yeah, this is it here. It's completely removed. I'm just going to bring it over to the mat just to see if there's a way we can put it together easily without spending hours upon hours. It says here, why are stained glass and plastic look very alike? Small pieces of precision depressed glass fused together. Glass is 2 times the weight of plastic. It is definitely not plastic. You can test it with fire to verify. This is a small sample. Why are stained glass and plastic look, why our stained glass? So what's it saying? That it is glass and plastic look very alike? Yeah, I mean it's a heavy thing. So this is glass then. Yeah, doesn't sound like plastic. Thing is, that doesn't feel like plastic either. Okay, maybe they had complaints. So we have got to try to get this in some shape back together. Right, so that's going to go through there. That's going to go onto here, and that goes over. So that's all okay. I think we can get that sorted. Might need to do a bit of bending, maybe not. Oh, that goes through there. Oh, right, okay, and that goes onto there. Yeah, that's so. I think that's fine. This is a problem with the wire and this here. So first things first, let's get rid of this in case we just smash it. And let's do a continuity test and see what we have. So it looks like this has been twisted off. Right, hopefully the neutral, first of all, so let's see if there's any earth anywhere on this. So it doesn't look like it's earthed as far as up to here is concerned. Let's go on to neutral, and that shouldn't be switched. Good, now let's go to live. Nothing there. Nothing here. So maybe the fuse has gone. Or, okay, let's check the fuse. There's no live, but we have got the neutral. 3 amp fuse. 3 amp fuse is blown. Right, okay. So if we were to actually go onto here, then we should see if it's coming up here. Yes, and now if we do the switch, hopefully it's not. Brilliant. Okay, right. Well, the wiring and stuff is intact. We just need to get a new fuse. Yeah, look, no earth at all. See, this is it's metal. So if this live wire was to rub, but basically, look, if this here was to touch against here, then we would have the live here on this. I'm not sure how far down it's on here. I think if we were to pierce through, it would be on it in this. Yeah, I mean it's on here. Yeah, And I'm sure if I scrape back here, it's just a paint protecting. So it's far from ideal. Again, is that, to me, I don't think that should be sold. But you put what you think down in the comments section. It needs an earth wire. Right, I'm going to put it together because clearly this has been sold in the UK. It's got a UK plug here. But you know what? Actually, it is double insulated going into here because we have this and this. So this is to protect this rubbing against here. So, well, actually, is this not triple insulated because you have the wire, then the sheath of the wire, so that's one insulation. Then we got this, that's two. And then we got this rubber grommet, that's three. So maybe when it comes up here, the idea is that you're supposed to have the cable. Maybe this is why you don't need an earth, because you're having the cable going right the way into here, and this is plastic. So then you have one insulation with the wire here, and then double insulation here. Because there's lots of things in the UK that are double insulated that are not, that haven't got the earth wire. So actually now, I've changed my mind. I think that this is okay. Right, somehow I've got to try to get more wire through, so I'm going to have to gently peel this back because this needs to go back on again. Right, I'm going to have to, it's just coming away on the outer one. I'm going to have to glue that back on. Right, I'm not going to take any more than that. I just want to get rid of this strain relief here. In fact, we can pull it all the way out. Let's get rid of all that horrible wire there. Actually, we can straighten it up. It's only been twisted. I don't want to reduce the length too much, you see. These copper cores are very thick, so they're not going to just break with one little simple twist. Right, so I'm going to move this down quite a bit because I want a lot more cable up the top to work with. So hopefully that will be enough. And I'm going to feed this back through. And look, it's insulated there. Can you see there's a plastic grommet there as well? Peekaboo. Right, so that's there. Let's pull that through here. There we go. So I have to try to glue that back on here. Yeah, that will go on. That will go on nicely. So now, Vince, what's happening up here? I reckon this is one of those things that won't look that nice when it's off, but I think when it's on, I think it will look surprisingly nice. So this is the neutral one here. Did they get it correct? Yes, they did, because that's the one. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. That's this one here, is it not? And that should be folded down. You can see that's the nice one at the side. So they got that incorrect. Do you like money off? Yes, of course you do. Well, check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. Between now and the 31st of December 2025, so don't hang around, you can get big savings. They have a big Christmas sale with up to 50% off. And you can upgrade to purple, matte black and pink solder mask for free. Yippee! They also have free Christmas coupons. And up to 50% off 3D printing and CNC machining. Also check out their special sales in their PCBWay store. So as always, a massive thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring the My Mate Vince channel. PCBWay links will be in the description down below. Now, let's get back to the video. So they got that incorrect. Yeah, it's going to there, not there. That's the neutral on this side. That's the live one because it needs to be bent down. So let's bend that down now. There we go. So that's going to be putting pressure on the live of the lamp when we screw it in. Right, I'm going to have to try to push these out because they had these little ferrules on them. Going in here, it looks like. So is there any way? Does this come apart anymore? How did they make this? Oh, here we go. I think you just push in here. There we go, look at that. Now I can straighten them up nicely. Can you see what they've done here? They have actually put proper little crimps on, which is good. And these are the things that get the wire on. These hold the wire in place. There's little barbs that stick up. Where are the barbs? Yeah, these have to be out this way. Like that. So we'll lock in. That's really good, that. You can fully dismantle them. Will allow me to bend this over a bit better as well, because it was a bit proud. Sticking up a bit much. So let's straighten this. There we go, I think that looks quite nice. So let's pop these back in. That clips in lovely. I think this is going to be a lasting fix. There we go. Now look how nice that looks now. And when that gets screwed down, it's not going to short with that. That's all below there. So that's all good. So the only thing I have to do now is strip this back. So we're going to be screwing this onto here. Like so. I need to strip this back now because I'm not going to have a huge amount of room, am I? Let's get rid of this old stuff. So I actually want these pretty short here. Yeah, because there's not going to be, I'd like to have this sheath on this bit here if possible. Now I think with these, I'm going to get my little crimping kit. I like this because it crimps on all the way around, not just like on the flats. It's like a hexagon. And this ratchet. It wasn't expensive. Longevity, it might not last very long, but the amount of times I use it, I'm sure it will last my lifetime. Okay, so we need really the smallest one that these will fit in, but that's going to be too small. I wonder, see, I don't know what size wire this is, but I just want the smallest one to fit in. In fact, maybe we could even leave that grey plastic on it. You know what? Yes, I think that will do. But we are going to have a problem with that grey plastic because it's going to stop it from bending. So let's see if we can cut off the grey plastic. I want to do it without breaking up the metal crimp because it's already very tight. There we go. I managed it. Look at that. It just popped out. Perfect. Right. Look at that. Well, that is pretty much perfect. I don't think I'm going to get it in the white one. No. Right, there we have it. Crimp time. Satisfying. There we go. Now they are not going to come off, they're not going to go anywhere. You can see they've been crimped multiple places all the way around. So now I'll be able to get that hopefully into those little terminals. I may have to cut this back further, let's see. So we want the neutral to be on this side here. I'm hoping it's just going to push in. Like that. And now we want this one to be this side here. I think I am going to have to cut back here a bit. Here we go. There. So we have the live on that one, and you can see that they're in. I think that is going to be just fine. And you can see when I push that down there, there should be some sheath on here. Yeah, that's gonna hold. Right, so we want to push this down here, clip it into place. I hope there's only one way this goes on. I think so. Oh my word. Excellent. Right, now let's see if we have what we should have on here. So neutral is on this one here. Regardless, and there's nowhere else, of whether the switch is on or off. Yeah. And now live is going to be on this one. Fantastic. Right, I've got an LED one here. So you have to take this off here. So this is the reason this separates. Right, let's turn it on here, see if it works, but we will save the reveal of the leaded lights, the stained glass, for boom, for the other room. Look at that. You know what? Yes, it might not be interesting, but I don't know what it is. I enjoyed that one, and I feel like it's a proper. Fix. You know, crimping on the bits and stuff. Ah, now that's not going to fit in here. Oh, so you need a little light bulb. You need some small little thing. Oh, I don't think I'm going to have then. Oh no!
Showtime.
Right, here we go. I was right about Tiffany lamp. It even says it on the instructions there. Maybe subconsciously I've seen it, but I do remember Tiffany lamps from years ago. Right, okay. So I haven't glued the bottom bit yet. Let's just see what it looks like. Is it going to be like the wax warmer where I turned it on? I was like, what? Because that was something special. Here we go. It also says in the instructions what bulb to get for it. You ready? Oh, I don't know what I was expecting. I wish I hadn't bothered. Does it cast a light against the surface? Well, I suppose it's either your cup of tea or it's not your cup of tea. I haven't got the correct bulb for it, so I've just balanced that on top. That's why it's a little bit crooked. Yeah, it is what it is. At least it's working now, and if somebody likes Tiffany lamps, they might well like this one. I don't know how much they cost new, but hopefully there might be a bit of money left in it even when you set it used.
Another expensive fan, yes.
Look at what we have here. My mate Vince might be in the money. We've got another one of those expensive Dyson copy fans. Ocean Long. Last one I had was boxed. This one's not boxed. Also, that came with a remote control as well. But the last one had a shorted capacitor. I wonder what's wrong with this. Good thing is, I already know the inside of it because I spent so long working on the other one. So hopefully I might be able to get to the fault quicker on this. Right, let's see what this is doing. I haven't turned it on yet. Came on there. Blowing. Oscillation's working. Maybe this is just working. The filter looks really clean down the bottom. Let's see if it's pushing out hot air. Yes, it is. Let's see if the timer is working. Yes. Stop. Let me get the remote control and see if it's working with the remote. Right. Yes, that's working. Now, should we see if the tilt thing's working where it goes to fall over? Yes, it does. Well, initial testing looks like this is working just fine. Yeah, and that blast of air there, we'll put it on max cold. Let me just put it to max heat. Right, so 38, and the room should be, what's the room? 17 at the moment. Let's just make sure it's heating up. Plenty of heat coming out there. I just want to see if it's going to climb from 17. 18. And we'll make sure that it, when you turn it off, that it stays on for a little bit. I think my mate Vince is going to be in the money on this one. Well, it went from 17 to 18. I've got a lot to do, so I'm not going to wait here for the next 15 minutes. Right, let's turn it off. And just to make sure it keeps blowing, which it does. Now, just like the last one, I want to see if you can take it apart by untwisting here. And we'll have a very quick look inside just to make sure it's not burnt or anything. And really, it would need a little screw in the back like I did on my on the other one I fixed. Strange that, because the filter down here is so clean. So although we have got some marks on it, I wouldn't say it's had much use. There you go, and it's turned itself off. Right, let's just see if this also comes apart like the other one did. So I'll hold it here, and I can't remember which way you twist it. There we go, yeah. Really dangerous, that. And there we have the circuit board in here. Different colour wires going down to the oscillation motor. Slightly different than the last one. But the circuit board is the same. Well, there we go. So I think it just needs a little screw put through the back to make it safer. It's amazing that you can take it apart like that. Now with this here, it will only go on one way. So if I put it this side here, it should drop into place. There we go. And now I can lock it in. There we go. Well, if the product's safe to use, if it's still sold and it hasn't been recalled, then I think that's easy money. It appears to be working. But personally, I still think it needs a safety screw in the back here to stop that part from coming undone accidentally.
Vince likes this clock.
Here we have a clock. Let's pop a battery in, or batteries, and let's see what it's doing. All right, battery in. Extremely hard to get the battery in. And look what it's doing. Vibrating. See that second hand? Ooh, interesting. Let's bring it over to the mat, see if we can fix it. Right, I don't know why, but I actually like the look of this clock here. I know it's plasticky, but it's it looks nice. It actually looks more kind of premium. Reminds me of Swatch a little bit. I like the little red and blue accents there. Anyway, you can see this here. So, let's see what's happening. So that's spinning. Why is it going back and forth and not in one direction? First things first, let's see if we've got voltage in the battery, as in correct voltage. Yes, we do, 1.53 volts, so it's not a battery problem. Well, look there at that yellow one. It is going back and forth, which is the same as what the second hand's doing. Or is it the red one? I think it's the yellow. And it's random. Hold on. Let's look at the green. So wobbles, 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 wobbles. So it's random. What's going on? Yeah, don't know. And I don't know how these things come apart either. Right, this one might be enjoyable. Let's take the battery out. Is it clipped in around the edge? Can I just pinch this out, or I suppose the hands are going to be attached to it, aren't they? I wonder, can I get the back part off and leave the hands? No, it's all going to have to come out. Right, so we've got a clip here. Let's ease that out. Work our way around. So we've got a clip at 12, 6 and 3 o'clock. Excellent. And it is glass. Try not to smash it. So I want to be taking each of these things off. Let me put some gloves. You know, I'm not going to wear gloves. Everybody will have a go at me for working on a clock without gloves, but I don't want to wear gloves. I want to be able to feel what I'm doing. Well, now, are you going to come off or not? Yes. There we go. Right, so now that is free there. So I might be able to then take this out from here. Oh, look at that, we're clipped in here. How easy is this to come apart? Look at that. So you would, I'm sure, just be able to buy that Quartz module itself. Now, I need to take this apart further. Let's take a picture, because I know those gears are going to come flying out, and once they come flying out, I will have zero idea how they go back in. So it looks like we have clips here. Let's ease that off gently there. And here. Now that should come out. Yes. Ta-da! Right, so it left a couple of gears behind. Oh, they've labelled them up. Number 4. Would this be labelled up number 3? And they're using little pivots in here. No, that's not labelled up. Well, I think the teeth on that look okay. And I think the teeth on that look okay. So that's a weird winding, how they've done that. So when we turn this, that should be stepping. That's a stepper motor. That should be stepping round, no? So let's put this back in and see what it's doing. Maybe it's the friction of the wheels. Oh, that's 5, 3. Some of them are labelled up. Oh, and 2 is written here. Maybe it's the friction that's stopping it from working. Now look at that. That's spinning nicely, is it not? Doesn't take much to stop it at all. Does it always spin the same way? Hold on, that's interesting. Right now, that is going clockwise, yeah? And now that's going counterclockwise, look. So how does it know which way to turn? Is there another gear somewhere that doesn't allow it to turn a certain way? There's more gears underneath here. Well, that seems to be doing what it needs to do, does it not? Right, so I've already now forgotten if the green goes underneath the white. So let me refer to my pictures, and I can see that the white goes down next. So let's try to take this out. I wonder, is it just weak? Might be a problem with the coil, you see. Right, so should we see if it can power that one okay? Yes, it can. We might have dirt or grease further along the circuit.
The drivetrain.
So now after this, it's going to go on to the red. So I'll tell you what, let's put it all back in just for the moment. So if you can see what's happening is it's getting reduced down all the time, isn't it? So this is powering the big one, which is turning the small one, which is powering the big one, which is turning the small one, which is powering the big one, which is turning the small one, etc. Right, let's see now. Are you going to work? No. It worked for a bit and then stopped. See, this is going around, now it's going the other way. So right now the clock would be going backwards. How does it know which way to go? Let's stop that. It's got a lot of strength. I want it to go the other way. Let's stop it here. Now go that way. How does it know to turn back? Look, starting it the correct... Sorry, when I said the correct way, maybe it is going the correct way now. Look, it only does it for a tiny little bit before turning back. And then we go the other way. That is now working. I think if we put the second hand on, that would be working. But it skipped a bit there. But remember, these are not in their homes. I wonder, has something here broken? Maybe when we put this back on, it's not going to work. Also, how am I going to get these all lined? Oh, there you go, they are lined up. So if I turn that, I presume that's going direct to the other side and missing these gears. Let's see now. Is it working? No. So can you see it's doing that wobbling thing? So it's when we put this top on that it's not working. That yellow's not turning anymore, it's just wobbling. Right, so it's something to do with friction. Let's take it all apart, give it a good clean, and we'll have a close look. We'll have a close look at the gears and also the pivots where they go into here. So I do that and I cannot find anything wrong with any of the gears. I'm wondering if it's an oiling issue, because I can definitely see oil in some of the pivots. I'm wondering if it's been oiled too much. But the thing is, it always works when we haven't got the back cover on. And every time we clip the back cover back on, it stops working. So what I think it is everything does look perfect, by the way. But when things are made, they're going to be made within a tolerance. So, you know, it might be working to plus or minus 0.1 millimeter or something like that. But there might be instances where, let's just say the plastic at the back, the black plastic, might be at one end of the tolerance where they say it's okay. Yeah, so maybe if it's too much, they fail. But there has to be a boundary, you know, within maybe like 0.08 of a millimeter to 0.12 of a millimeter. And let's say if it was at one extreme of that boundary but still passed, and then let's say the back cover was also on the larger side of that tolerance on the boundary, then maybe by putting them both together, it's enough to create too much friction. It might be grabbing one of the gears too tightly. If we had 10 of these clocks, maybe I could swap different parts around the casing from another one, and both might work fine because the tolerances might be different on the back to what they are on the top. I hope that makes sense. It's just that it works fine until we put the case on. So let me just show you that again, and then I think I work out a fix where we can get this working. Right, after it righted itself, still don't understand how that works. It's working now. Let's try to put this in while it's moving. Hopefully I might have more chance of getting it in the right pivots. No, same thing again. So when we're on there, it stops. When we loosen it, it works. Not that side. Now it's off again. So it's interesting that every time we clip the cover on that it stops working, but how do we know which gear is the actual problem? It's something to do with the pivots forcing down too much on the gears, creating too much friction, but I don't know which one is causing the problem. It's unlikely to be all of them. So let's put pressure with our finger on each of the gears to see what kind of mimics the fault, and it might give us an idea where the pivot that's being squeezed too tight is coming from. So I'm just going to see what would cause the main strain, because if this was straining here, look at that, it doesn't really stop it. If this was straining, it's not going to stop it, so it must be up here. So if there was a problem with the green one, that would stop it, or definitely if there was a problem with that, that would stop it. I think this is the problem one up here. So which pivots are you? You're this one here. It's this little one here. Let's have a little look at that one. It is this tiny little one just here. Well, hold on now. That's the circle. So is that not going? And there's quite a bit of oil there. Should I clean the oil off it? Let's get rid of the oil from it. It could very likely be this one next to it as well, because this is where the motor goes in. You know, the gear, the motor from the gear from the motor. Just clean the oil from that as well. Just on the edge, it's still going to be in the hole. Maybe it was over-oiled. Right, so let's see now if that's going to make any difference at all. Still spinning. Still spinning. Stops. Oh. Stops. I definitely think it's something to do with those two pivots there. What I want to do is I want to shave a tiny bit off that and a tiny bit off this, so it still sits in here, but maybe it doesn't put as much pressure going upwards. That sits right down. So what would be the easiest thing to shave? I'm going to say now, I think it's this one here. I'm wondering if I was to just take off the edge ever so slightly. Oh, I think, yeah, I don't know. See, it could be that this is too weak and it's not strong enough to power around the friction off the gears. But there's no way I can fix this here. So I think I'm going to go with the fact that the tolerances are slightly out. So this is going to be a bit brutal, but I'm going to use my grinding pen. I just want to try to take off the tiniest bit from the top here. Parts of this video have been cut out. The reason I was talking about the coil not being powerful enough is it looks like it's wound weirdly. A lot of the coil seems to be one side and the other side seems to be thin, and maybe to get a stronger magnetic field you need it to be even across. So it could be that the coil hasn't been wound properly, and now I'm just trying to reduce the friction to make the weak coil do what it needs to do. Whoa, Vince, what's happened now? Why is it? Oh, I think I was hitting against here. I was thinking. Right, let's leave it at that. Now I have to clean that up. I'm just going to use my finger on it as a bit of roughness. And try to blow away the plastic swarf. I wonder, would that do? Or is it now going to be way too rough? So it might not even be this one, it might be the one next to it. Let's see what it feels like. Oh, look. Oh, do you know what? This might be, because now it's the pivot. It's not even on this anymore. It's the pivot at the bottom, which is touching. Look. Can you see it's not even going there? So maybe I've done the wrong bit. Maybe all I need to do is take a tiny bit of this at the end off. Let's just see if it's made any difference, because it's possible that that was up too high, but I don't think so now. I think it's the pivot. Hard to focus in on. Let's see. Look at that. So far so good. Are we properly clipped in? Yes we are. You heard it clip. Look at that. We're fully in. It's working. Yeah, I think it was intolerances. I am going to get some oil now. Hope I don't ruin this. And I'm just going to touch up just on this one here, because I haven't touched the underneath of it. I'm just going to put a dot of oil in each of those little plastic jewel things. That's working. You can see this is the one that's attached to the second hand. This, you know, the little silver one on the inside. When in fact, if I show you this now, you'll see it work. I'll just put it on gently. You can see it moving around. How nice is that? Oh man, I love that. I love doing that. Isn't that amazing? I got lucky on the first pivot. Every single time we did it before, it seized up when we put the back plate on, and now it didn't. So clearly that pivot, it must have been moulded just ever so slightly high, and just doing a quick pass of it now. I don't think it's going to affect it, because the pivot from the motor gear, the magnet one, is still in the same place. But I don't think the surrounding bit, beforehand it must have been maybe fouling a tiny bit on the gear. Strange. Anyway, I'm going to treat it some oil, Mobius 8000. Don't know if it is the correct or wrong oil. Being Mobius is probably more expensive than the oil they used in the factory. So maybe I've actually upgraded this clock. So we'll put it all back together. I've got to do it so the hands will go on at 12 o'clock to make sure it's nice and straight, so the minute hand lines up well with the hour hand when it's on o'clock. And yeah, I'm just going to show you it now back together, ticking nicely. It's got a lovely sweeping second hand. I like that one there. Right, let's set the time and we'll come back to it later and we'll see if it is keeping okay time. We'll come back to it later and we'll see if it's keeping okay time. Here we go. Look at that. That will do for me. So it appears to be working. Really enjoyed that.
Days later.
And it's quite a few days later and it's still keeping perfect time. No, Vince, how many clocks have you done? But there you go. It's still good. Ta-da!
Mr. Ploppy Pants.
Here we have something called an induction heater. And I thought it'd be like a fan heater. But I think it's more to undo rusty bolts, because I typed in H7E, and if I've got the correct one, which I'm not sure about because they look a bit bigger on videos, they're very expensive. And the idea is if you have a rusty bolt on your car, you're supposed to put the end on it and it's supposed to heat up the metal. Not too sure. Anyway, let's open it up and see what it's doing. Well, I'm not going to lie. It looks like one of the scariest things I've ever had on my channel, especially when I've never used one and I don't know how it works. So I might have to watch some review videos on it. But what I did is it comes with these three things for different sizes. I've put on the smallest one here, and you just undo these little thumb screws, put it in, you see the massive electrodes here, the copper wire. And I presume it just must put a huge amount of energy through here, which will heat up the middle here. So you're supposed to put, imagine if this was the bolt, you're supposed to put it there, and I think it heats it up, maybe instead of using a blowtorch. It looks scary as could be. I'm going to put my camera on a tripod. I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to press this. I'm hoping, it said here it's got an LED, and I think it said yellow for working, white for overheating. You can only use it as like a duty cycle, and it said here you can only use it, I think it was for 3 minutes, then rest for 5. So, oh no, 2 minutes working, 5 minutes stop. 2 minutes working, 5 minutes stop. So, yeah. Bit nervous. Also, there's a screw here. I can see there's another screw missing here. So screw missing here, screw missing here. And I don't know if it has been apart, but this sticker on this part here isn't as smooth as here. It looks like it's been peeled back in here and here. So, yeah, I'm not sure if it's been apart before. But it doesn't look like it's had loads of use. Right, Nervous Neris is in the building. Let's plug it in, turn this on and see if the light comes on. Okay, hasn't gone bang. Let me just see what happens if I just press that for a second. Right now, getting a bit braver. Let's see if that light comes on. It says do not look directly at the LED either. Also, I better keep it away from my camera. I think it produces a massive magnetic field. It said something about eddy currents. There you go, nothing's happening. Okay, so that light, I presume, should be coming on. And I don't think the LED's gone. Right, okay, well, I've got it on. Let's hold it on for about 20 seconds. And I presume there should be maybe a little bit of heat somewhere. See, I don't know, maybe there's no heat built here. The heat might be put into the object rather than these being red hot. Right, I don't think that's doing anything. I'm unplugging, just seeing if there's any... No, stone cold. I presume it would get a little bit warm, maybe. Right, let's try and take it apart. And we'll see what's happening. Maybe it's something obvious on the inside, but if it's been apart before, then it might not be. It says here, no pacemakers, electromagnet in use. Do not wear any metal objects, rings, watches, body piercings, metallic surgical implants. Magnetic fields heat metal objects instantly and may cause severe burns. I better be really careful with this. Well, I went to see if there's any reviews on this, and it looks like Buy It Fix It has done one of these. Now, I don't think I've seen this one, but maybe I have and I've just forgotten it. I've watched loads of Mick's videos. I highly recommend him. If you haven't seen him, I'm sure most of you already know about him because I've shouted him out before. He shouted me out. My viewers watch him, his viewers watch me, etc. But Mick, I think, is probably the best fixer on YouTube. That's what I think anyway. He is amazing, not just hardware, software as well. So I'm going to treat myself and I'm going to watch his video because I'm a little bit scared of this here. And if I can gain a little bit of knowledge beforehand, it might make fixing this easier. The time for me right now is coming up on 11:45 at night, so just before midnight. And I've still got lots of editing to do. So I think I'm just going to whiz through this now. And then hopefully I might pick up some tips that might make me fixing this a little bit quicker. But definitely check out his channel if you haven't seen him already.
That Mick is a genius.
Right, I watched Mick's video and yeah, it's brilliant. Amazingly, I watched it 2 years ago. I commented on it, but I've never seen this before in my life. But obviously I have. I don't know what's the matter with me, but I think I just watch a lot and some things stay with me and most things don't. Maybe I've only got so much of my brain that can store information and the rest just gets pushed out. So yeah, it's weird. It's like I watched it, I wouldn't comment without watching, and I would have watched the whole thing. And yeah, it doesn't, I don't remember any of it. Right, I can say with certainty this will not be fixable in this episode here. If it's anything like Mick's, it's going to need a whole load of spares. But let's take it apart just to see. We might be lucky, it might be a broken wire, but I don't think it will be. Now, the failure rate on these unfortunately seems to be quite high. And on Mick's one, he got it working, but then it failed again, he said in the comment section, after 5 uses or something. But it is amazing when it works. So you put it on a rusty bolt and Mick just held a bolt on it and it went up to 100 degrees in seconds. Yes, this looks just like Mick's one. Right, oh, okay. Now, first of all, I'm going to check this 450 volt capacitor just here before I get my hands in there to see if there's anything in it, because we have had it plugged in. Excellent, there's nothing there. So if there's nothing there, I'm hoping that there's nothing in this massive scary looking one here. Let's measure this one here. No, okay. I think I might be safe to work on it. Is there anything else that I need to worry about right now? I don't think so. I think I'm alright to work on this. Okay, now take this out. This is the exact same as Mick's one. Now on his, these were shorted here. These are called IGBTs. Now I haven't done any research into them, but I think they're a cross between a transistor and a MOSFET. So let's see if these are shorted. Hopefully not. I'm just going to go to continuity to begin with. Please. Ah, you thing, ya. So they're shorted there, but they're not shorted there. Shorted there, but not shorted there. Do you know what? Maybe that's, I think on Mick's ones they were shorted everywhere. I'll have to watch back the video on that. Definitely have a short between them two. Let's check the fuse. Nah, fuse has gone. So I think what's happened is these are blown, the fuse has gone, and I feel bad giving away the outcome of Mick's video. But I don't want to go through all the fault finder. I think it's just going to be the same because so many people in the comment section said that they had the same problems as well. So he had shorted, he changed out this chip as well, and he had shorted diodes underneath this capacitor. Let me see if I can go across the diodes. I'm just going to continuity. Okay. I think it was this one as well. No, so let me go to diode test. Imagine if it was just the fuse that had gone. See, that's not shorted. There's a reading both ways because there's going to be resistors in series with them. Right, a lot of them give the same reading both ways, but yet they are in series, as they are in circuit. And there's a huge inductor going across here. Right, what I'm going to do here, because I don't want to waste my time and also your time on this particular episode here, I am just going to unsolder these two here, and I want to test them out of circuit. And this here, Mick said in this video, is normally closed, and then when it gets above 75 degrees it will go open. So that all looks to be okay. I'm just going to quickly test the bridge rectifier. It's a huge bridge rectifier. I've never seen anything so big. Well, I have, but not in a bridge rectifier. See, I think that's okay. I think these two have gone. Right, look at that. Look at the size of that. It's absolutely huge. So I want to unsolder these two transistor MOSFET type things. I add some leaded solder to the points. These are absolutely huge. I take them off the heatsink to begin with by undoing the nut, but they're still massive. They drain away so much heat from my soldering iron. I could use a bigger tip, but I'm just going to persevere with the tip that I've got here. But guess what? I'm using my manual solder sucker, and I don't know what it is. It gets blocked up. So I've had two blockages when I'm trying to use solder suckers in near enough as many days. So I spend a good few minutes trying to heat up my manual solder sucker so the solder can melt and the pin can go through again. The problem I've got here is there's so much solder on here. I think there's too much for the manual solder sucker to cope with. If you're just doing a tiny little resistor, that's fine. But on here, the holes are quite big. There's a lot of solder in there. I think there's too much solder, and it just blocks up the solder socket. It just can't cope with that much solder. So then I go over to solder wick. Anyway, eventually I get them out. It's not really much of a hardship. I give the board a nice clean. It looks immaculate. So let me just test them out of circuit in my little component tester. Now this is, they're too big to fit in here. Oh no, they're way too big to fit. Oh. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder on 3 little wires. Here goes. What are you going to test? Come on. A diode. So yeah, that's wrong. So between 2 and 3, it's measuring a diode. 2 and 3 are the yellow and the blue, this one here. And is that where we got the short? No. Okay, so although it's not measuring a short, it is it's being detected as that. Let's go to see if nothing that way. Oh yeah, so it's that way. Maybe this one's blown open. Maybe that's kind of normal, but it's not measuring this one. That's why it thinks it's a diode. I mean, what's happening between these two? Nothing. So although we haven't got a short there, I don't think that's testing properly. What's happening on this one? So we have a full short there, full short there. Here, nothing. So I think this is going to be, what's this going to come down? I presume this will come back as a resistor. Right, come on. Are you going to show a resistor? So put it in the same as the other one. Resistor, there you go. 0.09 ohms, so like a full-on short. So 100% those two, well 100% this is gone. I'm almost certain this is gone as well, because why is it not testing anything on those two there if it's a transistor? I think that, let's see how much they are, but I'm going to call it a day. What I'll need to do on a proper trying to fix video, because something like this I then need to order these parts and the fuse. They're going to take a few days to come through. Then I need to put them in, but I also need to buy more than just 2, because there could be other things on here that might be blowing these. So although it doesn't look, it looks like it could be just that and the fuse, it might not be. So yeah, you can see how something like this, you might need to actually spend 3 different days, not full working days, but 3 different days on it. And I haven't left enough time. If this was the beginning of the Advent series, then I'd be getting spares, but I haven't got time to get spares and get things working. So, but it's still interesting to see the inside and also what potentially could be the fault. Right, good news, you can buy them. So you can see them here on eBay. They're not cheap. There's one here where you can get 2 of them for £5.27 plus £2 delivery. So I might well go for something like that. I might actually get 4 of them, and that way then if I blow them up, I'm not going to have to wait days for new ones to come. And I have to look into what that fuse is, and I've got to buy one of those legged fuses as well. So yeah, definitely need to buy 2 of these and a fuse. I'll order them up, and then what I'll do is I'll come back on a trying to fix video on, now mind you, it's going to be a boring trying to fix video because we already had taken half of it apart. Maybe I'll call it a revisit video or something. It'd be interesting to see on this. They would be worth fixing because they do cost a lot of money. Let me just see how much this is. I'm pretty sure it's up on £150. There you go, that's my one there, that solary one. £182 on Amazon. People are selling it on eBay for £140. So even if I was to spend £10 on spares, it would be worth fixing. It's a shame I couldn't do it in this Advent video because it would have boosted the price off the pallet by quite a bit, wouldn't it? Anyway, there we have it. I'll come back to this another time.
Scientific experiment.
Forgive me, but I've got to make some money. I found 3 more of these heaters. And remember, each one that we've looked at so far has had a faulty motor with polarity crossed. But even when you put the polarity in correctly, or incorrectly, but correctly, the motors don't spin properly until I clean out the grease, and then they seem to work. But other people are saying it's something to the dismantling and putting it back together that makes it work. So this time I'm going to unpack all 3 of these, going to do them all 3 at the same time. And hopefully they're fan issues, they might not be. And then what we're going to do is, let's just see if the motors don't look right before even touching anything, because it's very weird that the grease seems to fix them. But on the second fan I did, you could definitely see that it wasn't happy over 5 volts until I cleaned out the grease. Then it worked perfectly on 12 volts. So hopefully by the time we get through these 3 here, I'm just whizzing through them, we might be clearer as to what the actual fault is. It would make more sense that these are dropped in transit and the motor, boom, drops a few mil, which might make it just spin, half a spin, and then stop. That would make more sense than grease, because they're supposed to have grease in. Let's unpack and see what they're doing. This first one is working from what I can tell. It's oscillating, there's heat coming out of it, but it is missing the back bit here. It should have a little cover like this with a tiny bit of gauze type stuff, and it's missing that, which is unfortunate. But maybe if I can't fix this one, I can just put that one straight onto here. Let me test the other 2. This second one is plugged in. It is completely dead, so it's not lighting up at all. I've also noticed, if we can get it working, that the plug here, I can see the inner cores, so it would need to be pushed through further. So that could be, like the other ones, a blown fuse and then the motor not working, hopefully. And this last white one here, I've taken the back off, has the problem where it's alive, but the motor's not spinning. So if I zoom in here, you will hopefully see, you'll see it on the mat in a bit anyway, you will hopefully see that this will just give a tiny little turn. Right, there you go, you can see the blades going down here. I'm going to turn it on now. Turn and stop, and now I'm turning it off. And it gives the secondary little turn there. So the same problem again as the other fans. Let's bring them over to the mat and let's see if we can get these 2 working. Now, I'm not going to touch anything. Let's have a good look at this motor here. So I cannot see any coils sticking out. Shall we see if it spins freely? No. No, it doesn't. That doesn't spin freely. No, it should be better than that. So what we're going to do is, let's push down from the top here, in case it's, let's see now. There you go. That feels better, I think. Should we see? Because maybe if it was dropped, it kind of, you know, it's not heavy, but it's also not super light. It might have gone that way. Should we see if that's made any difference? I know I can take it apart and I'll probably get it working. It's just I'd like to know what it is that's causing this. Can't say with 100% certainty that it's grease. Oh, hold on 1 second. I need to do the fuse here. I've jumped to the conclusion that the motor's gone, but I don't actually know that, do I? Whoa. Oh, no. This is a different fault. This is a different fault. So the actual device itself is not coming alive. Why? Okay. Oh, could it just be, in this instance, whoops, could it be something to do with the bend on the cable at the bottom. So maybe I didn't need to take that apart there. Because look here, you can see it's like that. Let's undo this bottom bit. I've just jumped to the conclusion there that the fault was going to be the motor. Okay. Well, that's certainly crushed there, but I don't think that's going to be broken through. So I would say that that's not going to be the problem. Let's go to continuity, and we're going to go to the live, which should be this brown one. There we go, I'm in there. Yeah, we got that. And the neutral. And we've got that, so it's not that. And then you go up. Up into the fan itself. Up into the fan, so it's going to be coming through the arms. And then we've got a live here. Just trying to loosen this up. Got to be a little bit careful because the capacitors might have charge on them still. So the neutral comes here and the live goes down to one of these bimetallic switches down there. I think we need to take out the motor so we have access to the board. Right, there we go, got more room to work now. So we have, they're going down to the heater element down there. Should we just go across the thermal fuse here? Little thermal fuse just here. Let's see if we have continuity across that. We should also be able to check maybe the bimetallic switch. So thermal fuse, we have it there. Let's go to this bimetallic switch. Can't really see where the cable comes away from that. Hold on, I think it just goes around and back on the, I think the red one just goes around and back onto this black here. So if we had it between here, let's just check that fuse while I'm here. Yeah, let's see if we've got that there and in this wire nut, because what happens is it goes through the bimetallic fuse, then it goes through the thermal fuse and comes up here. So the live comes up here. And, well, in fact, we can test this side off the bimetallic. Yeah. And through the thermal fuse, so it is getting to here. So we will have 240 volts going into the board here. Yeah, it's not coming alive. So is there a problem up here? Let me just measure that big cap. Make sure it's safe to work on. Yes. Yeah, that's fine. Unless there's a problem with the lower voltage board up here, maybe. I think we're going to have to take everything off the board. I'm going to take some pictures and see if we can work out what's what. So even if the relays weren't working, then the heater wouldn't work, but you think that it was still live and up at the top. I mean, it could be a problem at the top board. But I think we'll measure this one to begin with. So we know it comes in here and here, live and neutral. So let's flip it over and see if we can follow the path through. We've already tested the fuse. So this is the live down here. So it goes here, goes through the fuse. Yeah, so that goes to here. And then it goes round to here, here, here. What's all that? So it comes up and it's going around here. It's going through here. So it's jumping across to here. And it's going into the bridge rectifier. So we should have it from the bridge rectifier right the way to here. Do we not? Ooh. What's going on? Oh, Vincey, hold on. Oh, hold on. I was going to say, is it cracked here? No, we got it here. I wasn't sure if it was cracked there or not. And then from the neutral, it's going to be doing the same thing, going to here, here, into the bridge rectifier. Why am I having such trouble getting onto the... what's going on here? Jab it in. Look at this. So I've got it here. Why am I not getting it consistently on here? Do you think it's broken here and here? That's weird. Whatever problem I had with the positive, I've now got on this. I'm just going to go with my fingers straight onto here. So we're here. We're not here. Has it broken here? Let's scrape here. Look at that. I think we've got a problem here and here. Right. How weird is that on a new product? Look at that, nothing there. And I think this only came when I started messing with it, because I thought that looked iffy here as well. I think that for some reason when this was put on, I'm wondering if it got dropped and broke. Is that lifting here? That's lifted in here, look. Can you see? That's loose. Look. How weird is that? Look at that loose there. And I'm not so... There you go, that's gone as well. Look. There. But if I was to do these ones, I think these are okay. Yeah, they're not moving. There you go, these are both broken. Both sides. Amazing. Well, there you go. Fan heaters are not always boring. I don't think so anyway. I'm just not sure that I think like other people. So everybody else is probably fast asleep. I think that's interesting. Why has that happened? Was it put down with too much force? Do you know, it could be as simple as maybe it was dropped in the factory and boom, it landed on something across there, because it is quite high. Not as high as this, but it is quite high. It's possible, isn't it? You know what? If you think about it, look here. If this dropped... But I can't see how this would have happened in transit. If this dropped, it's very believable that, if you have a look here, yeah, pretend this is the floor. It's very believable, because this is higher than that it fell like that, boom. And if it fell from any bit of a height there, that might be enough to shatter, because it's relatively heavy component. Yeah, obviously if it landed here, it would have got the capacitor, but it could have landed like that. Right, okay, let's grind back, solder up, and hopefully this will be working. How weird. I'm going to have to add a bit of a wire to that. Right, we're going to get the isopropyl out. I'm really happy that I found that quick actually. In fact, does the board look a bit folded up here? You know what I mean? Don't know. So no power was getting to the bridge rectifier, so when I was testing the capacitor, it wouldn't have been getting as far as the capacitor, because the capacitor's after the bridge rectifier. So it was only going through that choke type thing, and it was stopping there. So I am going to solder that up, and then I'm going to try to, I can just bridge it with solder, but I'm going to try to just get a little bit off wire just to give it a tiny bit more mechanical strength. I'm going to flood this area there. There you go, you can see that's completely bridged. And flood this area as well. And you can see that that is completely bridged. Let me just get a little bit of wire, and I'm going to make a little bit of a loop. And I think we'll do that and solder it up. Right, and now I'm going to solder that down onto there, and then hopefully that's going to give it the strength, and then I'm going to flood it with solder yet again. Just use a bit of flux. And flood it. There we go. Right, that has to be stronger now than just solder because we've got a wire bedded down into it, even though you can't see the wire. Now I'm going to do the same again on this one. Right, there you go. So it doesn't matter now if they're loose because they're connected through to the tracks. And I think I've given it strength anyway. Right, I'm going to get a little bit of nail varnish just here and here. Now if we zoom out and go back to the multimeter, we should have continuity from the spade terminals right the way into the bridge rectifier. So now if I go from here, it's going to go right the way to here. No, this one. And if I go here, it's going to go to here. And you see it's not coming and going. That one started to work because I physically scraped it and I pushed a part of the track together, but it could have easily blown open again because it would have been very small. There we go. Unless there's another fault on this, that has to have fixed it. Right, I'm just going to sort out the wires underneath, and then we'll put this back together. We'll see if it's working. Right, so that's all this back together. And I've just noticed here, look, the live wire goes onto the neutral, and the neutral wire goes onto the live. But yet, when it comes up here, it doesn't really make that much of a difference because it's they're both black going onto the board anyway. What I'm not sure about is the board actually, because remember the wires are crossed here. I wonder, is the board, you know, where it was marked up live. So this is neutral. Is this actually neutral? So this goes down onto the black. No. So we actually, I mean, it's AC, so it doesn't matter, does it? It's AC. But that's wrong, that. You know what I mean? It's just wrong. Okay, I am going to swap them over the correct way. So then we have the neutral actually going to the neutral. I mean, there's no earth wire anyway. So as far as I can see, it doesn't make a difference because it's AC. Yeah. But yeah, there's no earth wire, so I can't actually see it making a difference. But I am going to swap them over. But yeah, it's not right, is it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get two Wagos. I'm going to chop off these crimps here, and I'm going to use some Wagos on it. Oh, my last two wire Wagos, unless I've got any lurking anywhere else. Right, okay, so the wire in there is now straight. I think we're okay to turn this on. In fact, I can close this up down the bottom. Right, they're tucked away out of harm's way, hopefully. Okay, let's see now. I wonder, is this also going to have the fan problem? Because remember, that's a completely different problem that we've just fixed. Okay, plugging in. Now, please don't go bang. Yes, it's come on up here. Right, turn on. The fan's off. The fan's going. And we've already got heat coming out. Oscillate. Nothing's going to short. There, I heard the micro switch go and then it goes the other way. Just want to hear if the micro switch goes the other way as well. I thought I only seen one. But it's nice to have a thought that wasn't the motor. Didn't hear the micro switch that way. And now oscillate this way. There we go. Well, I enjoyed that. I hope you did. I'm not sure if many people are still going to be watching at this stage. And I just heard the micro switch go again. So it looks like the micro switch goes one way but not the other way. Yeah, no micro switch that way. Fantastic. Right, I am going to put this back together and move on to the white one. Come on now, Vince, let the mystery of the fan be solved. I'm hoping now it's got something to do with the courier's drop in it. And when we open it up, we're going to see coils on the motor. And that's why this thing is only spinning the way it's spinning. You'll see it more now when I take the cover off and I put it upright. I'm going to be really careful now. I'm going to try and do it more like a scientific experiment and just do one thing at a time. I'll just leave that like that. Now, okay, I can see the bottom of the coils, but they're not sticking out, you know. But if you have a look here, you can see them. Let's zoom right the way in because it could be as simple as that. And me doing all this pushing in and pushing out. The weird thing is that second fan though, it wouldn't go over 5 volts. And as far as I know, the motor was fine. But listen, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was out like that a bit. Right, so that's one thing to know already, is that we can see the bottom of those coils. So that would say to me that the magnetic field, the middle of the coils, is going to be what, about here? And maybe it should be here. Could be as simple as that. Right, let's just see, is it spinning freely? I'm not pushing it up or down. Right, I think that is spinning freely. Because remember, there is a magnetic field here. So I think that's okay. Right, now let me turn it on and I'm going to show you so you can clearly see what's happening. You should be able to see it there now, which you can. Let's plug this in and turn on. Does that and stops. And now when I turn it off, because I don't want to leave it on, it does that. Okay, now with plastic, I am going to, it's still going, I am going to spin it like this, okay? Right, so it's not there, there's no power there, agreed? Yep. Right, so I don't think I've blown the fuse yet. So 100% it's just doing that. Turn it on. I don't think it did at that time because I turned it on too quick after turning it off. So what it does is it does that, and then remember that after you turn it off, it will keep blowing for a bit. So it normally blows again for another, you know, like minute or something. I suppose it depends on how hot it is. So it's still trying to go now, even though it is off up the top. So that's interesting. So it is trying. So is it the board that's not happy? So maybe what we could do now is we could measure the board and see if we have 12 volts, 0 volts, 12 volts, 0 volts. Yeah, I'm not going to be leaving it on up the top again because I don't want to blow, you know, because the problem is the heater's on, you see. So without getting electrocuted, I am going to go on here and here. This is only 12 volts, it's just that I don't want to slip and touch anything else. So I'm on here and here. Let's turn it on. 12 volts. Now I'm going to turn it off. We've still got 12 volts. It should be working now, and it's not. Still got 12 volts. So it's not a board problem. 100% it's a motor problem, agreed? Because we've still got 12 volts. Now that should be draining away. There we go, yeah? We'll do that one more time because a few people thought it could be a board problem. On. So it should be working now. Should be working now. I'm going to turn it off because of the heater. Now we've got 12 volts still. So that says 100% it is a problem with the motor. Agreed? There we go. So this scientific experiment is doing good so far. Now, we know now that it is the motor. So I'm going to unplug. I'm going to face this down just for the moment. I am now going to unplug this connector and I'm going to put my own 12 volts into it, and we should find that it's behaving the same way. I could even go in with massive amps. There we go. Right, so we are here. So it doesn't matter about the tilt sensor now, because the tilt sensor is going to be built into the board. I'm going straight onto here. The tilt sensor, as far as I know, is not built into this motor. Also, the motor is clear in the plastic here. You can see there that that is clear in there, yeah? It's not rubbing against it. All right, I can smell that's still very warm. I'm just going to let air get through that for a minute while I set up my bench power supply. And I'm going to go to 12 volts, and I'm going to really go up on the amps. Right, 3 amps. So it's going to be 12 volts, 3 amps is on these leads right now. So now if I put these together, we've got 3 amps. Right, here we go. Now, still a bit warm. Okay. So I'm going to have to go in the wrong way again because I know from last time that it's wired incorrectly. And what a lot of people said is, thank you for letting me know. They said that I was saying a black wire with red stripes, but they're saying the red comes from where it's joined to this red cable here. So you know, like these are glued together, and when you peel them away, it leaves a little bit of the red on the black. So that's where that's come from. Right, let's see now. So I'm putting the black lead to the red, and I'm putting my red lead to the black, and it's doing the same thing, yeah? Let me see what it's drawing amps wise. 0.2 of an amp, then stops. Just 0.2 of an amp, 200 milliamps. So you can see that that's not happy. Now I'm going to put it in the correct way as far as the wires are concerned, but I know now it won't work because this has been wired up weird. There you go, it doesn't work at all. Not drawing any amps, yeah? Right, so now we know it isn't an amp problem. Which way are you spinning? See, right now it doesn't want to spin at all. It's really struggling. Look at that. Okay, so still could be a grease problem. Shall we try pushing this up now? Or should we try moving this down a little? Let's move this down. And that might mimic a courier dropping it. No, same thing. So now let's try moving it up. I can't, because it's got rubber bungs, it just keeps going back and forth. Right, you see that's still not going. Now, shall we try pushing the motor up and this down? So put this down, the motor up. To try to maybe cover up those coils more. Oh, look at that. You know what? I think that's the answer, guys. Look at the coils are completely covered up now. Let's see now. Oh, so simple. There we go. Oh, well, thank you to everybody that said that. So now that does make much more sense than the grease. But what's really weird is when I was doing the grease video, I must have had it where, that's just so odd. I must have had it where when I took it off, I cleaned the grease, and when I put it back, I put it together better, where it was like this. So the reason it's not working is because there's not enough of the magnetic field on the coils on this magnet. There's a magnet all the way around the inside here, and by pushing it up is now working. How easy are those fixes for people who are going to have these fans? So I think they do leave the factory working, and I think what happens is the courier, somewhere along the line, they get dropped, and the weight, because it's quite heavy, you know, this is a relatively heavy motor for the item itself. I think it just goes down like that. So now I'm pretty certain it is going to work. Look at that. Yeah, and it's drawing 0.1 off an amp. It's even drawing less amps. 0.1 off an amp, 137 milliamps. 12.15 volts. Okay, well listen, that's the great thing about the comment section. I never noticed that. Thank you, because it makes sense now. Dismantling it and putting it back together, I accidentally fixed them. It had nothing to do with the grease, even though I was convinced it was the grease because we cleaned it and it started to work. It's so good to have an answer. I love proving something. I'm not saying I proved it, but the community fixed that one. That's great. So pat yourself on the back, everybody that's commented, and pat yourself again if you said it was the coils there. I definitely read that a few times. So yeah, thank you. Now there might be a way you could mess around with the bungs and stuff, but no, there's not. See, the bungs are there. It's not. This thing doesn't really make a difference going up and down. It's to do with the motor here. So I can't see any other way of rearranging the bungs. I can't see how they would do that in the factory to stop that from happening. Apart from memory, there was a star washer. Maybe they need to make something a bit more beefier. So you know the axle that goes up into the middle of this, yeah? If they put in a nice big indent here, all the way around, and then they got a nice circlip on that. I know it's going to be hard to get in, but that would stop this from dropping down, because you see, it would be this. Well, you'd have to have some sort of washer or something, or bearing or something underneath the circlip, and that way it still allows everything to spin, but it doesn't allow this to be pushed down here. So the motor can't go down here because of the circlip. There would be a way that they could do that, most definitely. From memory, I think there was just a little star. I think there was a little O-ring, star washer, O-ring. And the star washer mustn't be strong enough to overcome the weight of this pressing down. If I drop this now from maybe waist height, maybe this would just go boom and push down again. Right, let's plug that in. Oh, I feel like at ease. I feel at ease now because that was slightly on my mind. Here we go. Now, are you going to work? You beauty. Look at that. Well done, everyone. That's just fantastic. Are you ready? On. Oscillate. Oscillate. On. Oscillate. Oscillate. On. It's already oscillating. In fact, have I stopped that one? There. Oh, look at that. All the little micro switches clicking away for themselves. How good is that? Man off fan. Surely now, ka-ching, 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 the pennies have to be rolling in. And I'm so glad we finally found out what was the problem with these motors. And it's clear that that is a common problem because I've come across so many of them. Such a simple thing to repair, but yet caused me confusion. And not just me, other people as well. That was very confusing about the 5 volts and working below 5 volts, but not over that. There was only a handful of comments that suggested that the coils were showing on the motor and they think that it's slipped down. They were completely right. So yeah, I wish I had seen that, but I didn't. But it's nice that the community's fixed it. And now other people looking at these fans and fans similar to this will also, I'm sure that's going to be a common problem on lots of these fans out there. So hopefully now that you've seen it in this video, you might be able to tell somebody else, or you might be able to fix fans if you've got them or your friends and family have given them to you. I'm so happy with that. So glad that I looked at them. Excellent.
Please be repairable.
Look what we have here, another one of those stage lights that I couldn't fix in the previous day. So hopefully, as long as it's not the same problem on this one, maybe the same person sent back both of them, hopefully we might be able to use spares off the other one to get this one working. Let's open it up and see what this one's doing. Okay, this might be good news for me. I'm not sure if you can see, but that LED light at the bottom there looks like it's gone a little bit dismantled. Yeah, I think the LED on the other one looked to be okay. Well, I don't know that. Maybe the higher voltage went through and blew that as well. Let's plug this in and see if this comes alive at the back. If this comes alive at the back, then we might be able to get one working out of the 2, which would be nice. So let's plug it in. Hopefully it won't go bang. Fans on. Nothing at the back again. I think this is going to be the same problem. I was expecting that to come alive. Right, let's take it apart and just have a quick look at the board, see if we can find out maybe what's wrong with it. Now, I wonder, are we going to be able to get one working out of 2? Has this been apart? See, this has already been apart. Obviously, I'm unplugged from the mains. Okay, now, do we have burnt? So we have the same burning mess going on here, so I'm not going to waste any time on this. I'm wondering if the same person did the same thing to both of them. Or is there some weird fault in here that's putting high voltage into low voltage DMX circuit? So this is exactly what's happened before. The exact same thing on that same resistor. And what you can't see, but what will have happened is, I bet you the burning's gone right the way across underneath here. In fact, we can see if the track's still here, because if we go to continuity on the meter, let's see if it's as bad as the other one, because the other one had the track completely blown away between. So let's go red and red. So you can hear we have red and red. This is ground. Do we have this one? No. Again, completely blown away. Isn't that amazing? Why? Obviously everybody might have answered it on the previous video that I haven't seen yet. I'm not wasting any time with that. What I would be curious about is, I am going to plug it in. I want to see if these chips have gone, just in case I might be lucky and the chips haven't gone. I'm going to very carefully plug it in and see what voltage we have on this voltage regulator here, because this voltage regulator is feeding this chip. I only know this because I spent so long on it before. That's the good thing about doing something over and over again. You see, I know now not to waste my time on this one. Right, so I'm gently going to measure between here. So let me put my lead in here. So on the other one, I believe that that chip and that chip was faulty, and even possibly this chip here. Right, so I'm going to go to volts DC. I'm going to plug it in. Nothing should short anywhere. Right, fans whirring. Green light's on down here. Hopefully you can see my meter there. Let's see what we have going into this voltage regulator. 3.2 volts going in. And nothing coming out. Yeah, so again, we have this chip is going to be putting a short on it. Same fault again. So if I go onto the input leg of that chip, you can see we haven't got anything there. What else is there? It was something to do with ohms. So let's kill power. Unplugged again. So now let's go to ohms. From memory, I had a good ohm reading here. Yeah, 10,000K, but this one was something like 1 or 2K on the same pin. Sorry, 1 or 2 ohms. There you go. Oh, 10,000 ohms. Ah, that's interesting. 10,000 ohms. In which case then, that middle chip might not necessarily be faulty, because that goes up to this chip here. And this chip was the mystery chip that I couldn't get hold of. I wonder in this instance, is this chip not burnt out then? Yeah, on the other one, that was something like 5 ohms or something. Now that's 10,000 ohms, just like the other side. So the mystery chip that's got no markings on might possibly be okay. Right, I haven't got time in this series to buy spares and get them to arrive on time. I think I'm going to come back to this on another video, because I definitely know you can buy these chips here. So what I can do is maybe I can buy one of these chips and then I can swap this chip over to the other one that I've done the work on the board, because I've already fixed all this up on the other board, and that one might well come alive. No point in messing with this, because I know the voltage regulator is coming off here and it's going to here. I know that this chip's gone. Because if I was to cut the trace like I did before, we would have an output from this voltage regulator. Right, I'm not taking this one any further, but it is interesting that the same fault has happened on both of them. Why? What's going on here? I put it down to user error. Would it be possible that the same user had both of these? It is possible, or is there something wrong with these leads or something, which is putting the wrong, which is putting high voltage into the DMX side? Not too sure. I mean, it is possible, because you see we have high voltage here and low voltage here. So maybe there's something going on in here where they're shorting between each other. But when I tested it on the last one, there was no shorts. But maybe my multimeter's not picking it up. But maybe when you have 240 volts going through it, then the short appears. Not too sure.
What?
Here we have some weird egg light that lights up different colours. It's supposed to add ambience to any outdoor space. Let's open it up, see why it's been returned. Right, it appears to be completely dead. The remote was still wrapped in its packaging. It's even got this thing here, so the battery hasn't been activated. But it has been used. I can see mud at the end of that spike there. You're supposed to hold this down for 3 seconds, and then it's supposed to come alive. But guess what? It's solar powered, so I think we know what's going to happen here. It's going to be a weak battery, because probably in the UK it wasn't in direct sunlight. Let's just quickly take out the screws and verify that the battery's flat. Maybe put another battery in or put some charge into it, see if it works, and we'll call it a day on that. Okay, let's undo these screws, see what charge is in the battery. Right, so we have a little foam seal there. Oh, so that is it. Right, okay. So that must be to detect light and dark here. And we have a battery here. So let's go across the battery and see what we've got. Might also be hindered, I wonder, by the plastic surrounding it. Right, so we have got 0.89, but I bet you that's charging right now. I bet if we put a light on that, that will go up. Sometimes if you do these at an angle, they seem to go up more. No, is one side charging more than the other? No, I don't think so. Anyway, you can see there that there is a bit of charge there. On there. But nothing's happening. Right, let's undo the screws here. I just want to verify if we put voltage in, will it actually work? So, oh, we have this as well. Well, that's for the remote control, I think. Feed that through. Right, now we have access. Actually quite a lot going on. Just zoom in just to make sure the solder joints look okay. All flux, I think. I think it looks all right. We are free. So that is soldered to the board. So we should be able to do this switch here, and it should be on these four here, shouldn't it? So how is this working? Not sure, they all seem to be different. Well, let's go to continuity. I thought it'd be just 2 points. Right, so those two, they're different than each other. They're different. They're different. They're the same. So they're the same as each other. So let's go between here and here and press the button. So that's definitely working. Oh, now that's on. So let's go across here. Just hold it down for 3 seconds. Oh, that's always on. I didn't see a short there before, I don't think, unless I didn't measure it properly. So what we'll do is, let's unsolder the battery from here. And well, we don't even need to unsolder it, do we? It's just going to be the same as charging it up. Let's put in I don't even know what this battery should be. They're 1.2 or something, aren't they? Oh, 3.2. Oh, it is a lithium battery. I thought it might be a nickel metal hydrate one. 500 milliamp hours. So this is a 14500 battery. So I get my bench power supply and I put 3.2 volts into this thing. Got to be careful. Some of these 14500 batteries look to be 3.7 volts, which is what a normal lithium is. And then these ones seem to be 3.2, which lend themselves more for solar. When you have a look on Google, lots of people are setting the 3.2 as solar batteries. These things must be in loads of different solar things. Anyway, I put voltage into it from my bench power supply and it still doesn't work until I read the instructions. And then I remember this is the same kind of setup as that Buddha statue I did. So let's cut to the video after I've read the instructions. Right, I've read the instructions, and just like the Buddha statue I did, it only comes on at night time and it charges in the day. So luckily I've got the instructions. And I remember from the Buddha, it only works when you cover up this. I thought this was the light dependent sensor thing here. It's not. Remember, this does all different colors. So this is just a normal LED, like a warm white or a cool white. But this here is the RGB LED. And you can actually see on the board here, it's all labeled up as green, well, G, R, B, W, and then it goes through a load of resistors and a load of transistors to turn on the different colors. And you can see that we have various different solder pads on here for the different colors. For example, green, white, green, blue, and red. And I never knew this, but when you I only knew it when I put the RGB lights up in my son's room. When you light green, blue, and red, it equals white. How weird is that? You wouldn't expect that, would you? But when you light up all three, it's a white color. So this is actually working fine. The problem is it's the battery here. So watch this. Comes to nighttime now. Boom, it goes on. But where it can be confusing, and then in the daytime, it goes off. Then next night, boom, it comes on again. Yeah, and you can have all different settings. But where it's confusing is the remote control will work now because it's on. So if I was to go off, you see it goes off, and press on, and it will come on again. But if you have the master switch completely off, like now, you cannot turn it on with remote control. Yeah, makes no difference at all. So it's a little bit confusing. So you have to turn it on here for a few seconds. There. And now you can use the remote control. Blue, orange. So the problem with this is that in the UK, I don't think there's really enough sunshine in the winter to fully charge that battery. But let's just bring it outside now. I'm going to put my multimeter on the terminals here. Let's see, is it getting anywhere near? It should really be 4 volts, shouldn't it? But I don't think we're going to get that in the UK in the winter. So this isn't going to charge up and work in the winter. But I think it would work fine in the summer if it was in a sunny spot. But any bit of shade, it's going to struggle again. I'm getting mixed up with 3.7 volt lithiums again. So really, I'm going to mention in the garden now that you need 4 volts or 4.1 or 4.2, but this is a 3.2 volt battery, not 3.7. So I suppose you'd need to be charging this at around about 3.5 volts, that sort of rate. I don't think I've come across 3.2 volt batteries before. If I have, I haven't taken notice of them. So I've learned something from this little egg. Okay, herein lies the problem when you're trying to use this in a month like December. So it's 3:10, so we've still got some daytime left in the UK. You can see that there's no shade currently on that, but there's not much sun either, and we only have 2.5 volts. So to charge a 3.7 volt battery, we're going to have it up at about 4.1, 4.2. So yeah, maybe the battery choice for this wasn't the best. I have no doubt that on a summer's day that this would produce enough voltage to charge that battery, but the rest of the year in the UK I think this item is going to struggle. So I don't believe it's faulty, I think it's just lack of sunshine. Right, I've just put a little bit of token charge into the battery, but even that shouldn't be done. This battery's lithium, and I think it was 1.3 volts, was it? I think it was when we first took it out. Well, it was very low. That's probably below the safe voltage level of this particular battery, so it shouldn't be charged up again. I've just done it purely to get a little bit of light out for the end of the video. So I'm thinking that this sort of product in the UK is not really going to work well, because even if you have it working in the summer, I think when it gets to the winter time, it probably will drop below that safe level, unless there's some cutout thing in that chip that stops that from happening, and it's faulty on this one. But this is interesting. So if I cover it up, it's going to come alive, but one side is much more sensitive than the other side. So maybe the solar power panel on this is faulty, because watch this. If I cover up this up here, is it this one or this one? Hold on. Right, okay. So if I cover up this, you will see it will come alive. If I cover up this, it comes alive. Here, comes alive. Here, comes alive. But when I do this side, if I cover up the whole side, it does come alive. But when I do one by one, it doesn't. So does that suggest that this side of the solar panel is faulty, and maybe it's only charging up the battery half what it should be charging up? Let me try 2 fingers. No? No? No. But yet when we do 3, that works? No. See, I don't know how these things are, I don't know how they're built to detect, but it is interesting that if we just cover up one of these, that it works. But not on here, we need 3. Weird. I just want to have a quick look at the back of that solar panel. So I think this would need a new battery. And even then, I think the same thing is going to happen again. Let's just make sure there isn't anything obvious here. Well, it looks like one's powering the positive, one's negative. So maybe it's just the fact that the light thing is more sensitive on the positive rail than the negative rail, because this is the positive, this is negative. So clearly both of them must be working. Well, what we can do is we can go across here, can't we? Let's see what we have. So 0.43 volts. So this should be the same. That's not the same, that side. And is this the side that's more, that works better? Yeah. I wonder, have some of these cells failed? So on the cells here, oh no, 0.43 volts. And on these cells, at the same angle, they are reading more, and that's strange. Maybe these are slightly faulty. Anyway, it's not something I can fix. Possibly I need a new one of these and a new battery. Let's just finish it up, put it back together. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see what the light looks like.
Showtime.
Okay, hopefully this room is dark enough. Let's see now if we turn it on here. Boom! Pink. Oh, look at that. Isn't it weird? It looks nothing, but when it's in this, I can actually see why people would like it. Look at all the different colours. And it can do things like strobe. Is it this one here? There you go. Right, so what would you do if you were making this for sale in the UK? How would you make it usable all year round? Would you have to have way more solar panels? Let's say if you had 10 times the amount of solar panels, would that get you enough voltage to charge up that battery there? I'm not saying this one might still be faulty. I can't fix it because I'm going to need probably solar panels if they're faulty, which I'm not sure if they are or not, and a battery as well. But if you wanted to make something that actually was going to be a viable product, then what would you do? Would you put in a smaller battery, as in like a lower voltage battery, but not a lithium one? Or would you just put more solar panels in? Would that get you enough voltage in the battery to have this even work in the months of November, December, January, February, etc.? If you could put that down in the comments section down below. So yeah, there we have it. I'm not sure about this one. I can't tell you for certain or not whether or not it's faulty, because obviously I've put charge into the battery and maybe the solar panel isn't charging enough. I need to have a very bright day to be able to see, is it putting 4-ish volts into those battery terminals? Not sure. But I could always look at it again in the summertime.
Weirdo.
My mate Vince is running out of time, and my mate Vince needs to make some money. I'm just going to be whizzing through them and just trying to fix them as quick as possible. Let's get those figures higher. So I have got 2 neck massagers. I've already looked at these products twice now in the past, so I feel like I know the inside a little bit, and I can take measurements from other working ones. Also, I've got this one here, which is a different model, but I'm wondering maybe the inside circuit board might be the same. They might all come out of the same factory, even though this does look a lot smaller. So I'm going to unpack them and see what are they doing. Right, the first one is completely dead. It's not doing anything. However, it looks new. The box looks new, this looks new, and I've even looked on the inside because the last one I did had a switcheroo going on that I didn't realise. This was all new, inside was disgustingly dusty. As it turns out, that was probably dead skin and dandruff because somebody had switched the inside out and then just kept their old one here and their old adapter and sent the rest back to Amazon. Anyway, what is weird here is, although it's dead and looks new here, the adapter is covered in paint splats. So we'll have to have a close look at that, just in case that's not the adapter for here. Maybe it's underpowered. It's weird to have this so new and have loads of paint splats on the adapter. The only time I see paint splats is normally on an older device that's been around for quite a few years and people roll the ceilings and splats of paint come down. So we've got to double check that. Anyway, we're going to open the next one and see what that's doing. Right, this one I can see a bit of an oil mark here, but again, it looks very, very new. But it doesn't come with the adapter. So I've plugged the adapter in from the other one, the paint splattered adapter, and this one is not doing anything. Again, could be the adapter. So that one is also dead, or appears to be dead. And the last one, although it's a slightly different design, same sort of thing going on. I'll be very surprised if the inside's different. And this one was plugged in via the cigarette lighter, but it did come with an adapter. Plugged it in here, and nothing's happening. So it looks like all 3 of them are actually dead. Let's bring them over to the mat and see how many we can get working. Now my mate Vince is going to be whizzing through these. So I might not be waffling as much as I normally do because I just want to get some items done. First of all, because this was being used, I want to see if the fuse has gone from in here. No. Where's the outer one on these then? It's here, isn't it? Why is that not working? Oh, it's there. Oh, interesting. Not that side, but that side. Right, that's okay. So now I'm going to plug in the paint splattered one, and let's see if we have 12 volts on the output. No, we do not. So it's an adapter problem. We don't have anything there. Interesting. So the adapter's gone. I wonder, was this made for it? It does say 12 volts, 2 amps. Okay. Let me try this adapter then. That came on the other one. What does this say? This doesn't look as good, does it? 12 volts, 2 amps. So it is the same. Let's plug it in. Now, do we have anything? We do, 12 volts. So now, I'm not sure if I'm going to look at that or not, because I won't be able to set it on. I might try to break it open, not sure. Right, let's see now if this adapter then is working in this one here. Here we go. Yes. So red lights are on for heat. On here. Does it change direction? Yes, it does. Let's do the different speeds. That one. That one. That one says 3 speeds. And heat off. And heat on. And change. Right, okay. So initial testing, this is fine. It's just the adapter went 40 on it. Now let's do this one, which I bet is also fine. Plug it in. Turn on. There we go. You can see the red light for the heat. It's working. Do this way. It's going the other way. Different speeds. So high, low, medium, high, and turn the heat off. There we go. So again, this one here is working. So the reason it failed is because of the adapter. So it looks like we only actually have one to fix, which is going to be this one here. So let's open this one up, because this is not doing anything on the known working adapter. Now this is a different one, so I don't actually know if the insides are going to be the same, and I might not recognise anything in the inside. But let's give it a go. Hopefully it's going to be similar. Yeah, I think it's the same. Right, so we are going to have a look in here. Right now, so what have we got going on? I can't see anything initially wrong with that. So what we'll do is, where does power come in? Power comes in on here, this connector, DC 12 volts. So should we put the adapter back in and make sure it's getting to here in case there's a problem with the lead? So plugged in now, we should have 12 volts here. You can see there hasn't been any use here, or very little use. So we do have 12 volts getting into the board. Right, so 12 volts. It goes along, where do you go to? You go to a capacitor. And then from the capacitor, it looks like it goes to a transistor-y thing. The board's labelled up as well. So when we turn it on, is anything... Where's the on switch gone? Here. I wonder, is it just not getting the signal? Oh, did you see that? What? It just came on. Hold on a minute now. Do you think... Have we got a bad connection? I'm wondering if the button's iffy. Look at that, the heat just went off there. Did you see that? Why has the heat gone off? The heat went off when I tapped it. Do we have some weird short going on? These buttons don't work properly. Hold on. See that? Didn't turn off. I think the buttons are playing up a little bit. Because when I got it working, I kind of pressed it twice. Bit weird how the red light went off though. See there? Did it flicker? It flickered again. It's gone. It's gone again. There's a bad connection somewhere. Where? Let me keep the board dead still and wiggle the wire and see if it comes back. No. It's so hard to find where it's coming from. So where do you go? You go to here. Oh, there you go. Can you see? I'm going to zoom in, see if you can see what the problem is. Can you see anything? So this connector here, I think is the connector that goes up. In fact, it does say LED there. Can you see what's wrong? This wire. I don't know why I jumped there. There you go. That's come out. But that isn't what caused it not to work. See, I just turned it off there and it didn't go off. Let me zoom out. I think we need to look at the buttons. Watch. Well, just trust me that it is. That's one with intermittent faults. They just mess you around. Right. Let me push this back in. I think we just need to look at those buttons. So this is on a little barb here. It kind of sticks up. So when I push it in, it should stay into place. Maybe I need to push that barb up a little bit more. Or maybe it just wasn't in properly to begin with. Can you see there's a little barb sticking up? So I'm just going to lift that ever so slightly more. There we go. And I'm just going to slot this in here. Hopefully it will click into place. And it's that bit there. Can you see there's a little box with a little prong coming down, bent over. That's what puts pressure on the little pins just in here. So I'm hoping I feel some kind of click when this goes in. There you go. That's in properly now, look at that. Right, okay, I'm going to put this back together because I don't believe there's a problem here. I can see the wire is also trapped just here. The green wire is trapped. So I don't think there's a way of getting them out of here. There's no way of actually getting them out. Oh, there you go, there's a cutout here, so it wasn't put on that cutout. Because you can see that the wire's trapped. So they need to be up there. Let's get everything where it should be. So for example, there's a cutout here, that cable should go there. So let's do it where the wires are not going to be all trapped. In fact, I'm going to lift this out and I'm going to put that smaller wire down below it. I think this is just been a bit rushed at the factory. So there, they need to be up there. Is there a cutout that size? So there's two cutouts at the top here and here for all these cables. So there shouldn't be anything getting trapped. Let's get them all in position. Right, so you need to be up there. The factory workers probably only have like a minute or something to assemble these. Right, so they are there. You can see that's lying nice and there. You can't see. That's lying nice and flat there. And they are there and they're not trapped. There you go. You can see they move. This is going in there and that's going in there. So that is together properly. So maybe this was sent back originally for that LED intermittently working, because maybe when it's vibrating and it's on your neck and stuff like that, maybe that was coming and going. And since then, the buttons might be a little bit hit and miss. So let's have a quick look at the buttons. I'm just plugging it in one more time. Yeah, I mean, it is working now. I'm not going to waste my time on what could or couldn't be. Let's just have a quick look at the buttons. Seems a little bit destructive. Here we go. Well, there's no corrosion there. It's this top one here. I just want to see if we have a nice continuity on the button every time we press it. I think that's okay. I'm just going to go to the other side because I don't actually know where the circuit board is. It might be using the pins on the other side. That's okay. I think it's all right. I think maybe if I was to take a guess, but I don't know, I think it could have been because of the intermittent connection on the heat spot. That's what I reckon. See, I hate intermittent faults because often when I was pressing that power button, nothing was happening. And you've seen at the beginning of the video, nothing was happening with the known working adapter. Yes, we fixed a definite fault with the little heat lamps part of it, but I don't think that would have stopped it from coming on. So yeah, not 100% sure. I've tested a couple of times since and it's been working. I'm wondering whether the switch is okay, but maybe when it goes through the rubber bit of the case, that maybe it doesn't always make a nice click because the rubber's quite thick and it's only got a little foam backing. So maybe, I don't know, I'm just guessing, sometimes I was pressing it, maybe I wasn't fully pressing on the button. I'm not too sure. So I can't say with certainty that this is fixed, but we did find a fault with the little heat light, so that's nice. Anyway, let's have a look at this adapter to find out why the adapter's not working. What is the matter with you? Let's just double check one more time. And I might also wiggle the lead around as well in case there's a lead problem. It doesn't appear to be a bad connection. So these things are completely sealed, so they're not fixable because there's no screws to undo to take them apart. They're like welded or glued. Let's try to use the vise. Apparently petrol works really well on these. I just don't want petrol in my house. Do you know what I might do? I might see if I can put that on there. Would that add more pressure in one part, I wonder? I think this is going to come apart very easily. Oh, we're in. Sorry, when I say in, I'm talking about it made a little clipping noise. Yes, Vince. Wow. Oh my word. Amazing. got into that really well. There's nothing actually broken. Right, I've got to be careful I don't electrocute myself because these caps might still have charge in. So, what have we got going on? So this is the output stage here. It looks like we've got a fuse down here. It comes up this way here through a safety capacitor, choke, 2 capacitors here. Looks like a startup capacitor. This is the chip here that's controlling this here. Opto-isolator for feedback. Safety capacitors here. Now, is there some sort of diode this side here, or is it the opposite side? To rectify it from here. And then these are the output capacitors. And I don't know what that is for, this side. I don't know why we've got some sort of choke thing that side. Anyway, let's gently take it out. What we got here? Oh, we've got all sorts going on here as well. Right, does it look like it's a little bit burnt up here maybe? First things first, let's make sure it's safe to work on. I've got to go across these caps because these are 400 volt caps. Let's see if we have anything on them. Definitely nothing there. I bet the fuse or something's gone. And... right, so there's nothing there. So let's go to continuity and let's follow the circuit. So we have got these two things. Do you know what it could be? Do you reckon these haven't made a contact with here because it's gone a little bit burnt? Possibly, might be lucky. Let's see if the fuse is okay. So the fuse is going from here. So this is where it starts and it comes down here and goes into the circuit and through the fuse and into the circuit. So the fuse is okay. So from the fuse it goes from here to here, through that choke thing up to here into the bridge rectifier. From here it goes here to here into the bridge rectifier. So let's go to diode test and let's see what we have on the bridge rectifier. Let's go this one. Something there, something there, something there. Swap the leads. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And is there any shorts on the caps? No and no. And on the output, so the output's going to end up here. We have no shorts on the output there. And that's that diode. You know, I said about the rectifier diode, it's this side. Let's see if it's all right. Got a reading that way. Oh, and a reading that way. Okay, but it is in circuit. That might be normal, but it's not short. Yeah, and it looks like we have one of those. Let me zoom in. Is it 471s or something? 431. So that's the little chip that's doing the feedback. So let me just do a quick, I forget how to test that now. Was it on diode test? Well, there's no shorts there either. Do you know what I'm going to say it is? I think that was on there. I think this one here is not making a contact with there. So we might be very, very lucky, and this might actually be fixable. So let's go to this one here. Is going to be coming up here. And this one is coming up here. So this one here, this one is... I'm wondering whether it's making a bad contact just here, because if you have a listen, zoom right in, I think it might have been arcing against here because it just needs to be stuck out a little bit more. Have we got anything here? No, can you see there? We haven't got anything there. So between here and here we have, but look here on the burnt bit, nothing. Yes, stops. I've scraped it now, you see, there, nothing there. And if I was to go here, stops. Here, I've got to go gently. But then if I go hard and dig in, it works. I think we just need to scrape that back. And I think then it's going to be working fine. And I think we need to bend the pin out more so it makes a better connection. I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we clean it with some IPA and should we put some more solder on it? Bump it out with solder a little bit, make it a bit fatter. Be nice if it was just that. I can't see anything else initially wrong with the board, but you might not be able to see. It might be just testing faulty. As in when it's plugged in, you know. Right, let's see if we can get some solder on that. Yes, we can. Right, so I'm just going to, oh, see that spit? Right, so I'm just going to, oh, see that spit? I wonder why they didn't use a whole line of it. You know, why is it done like that? Why didn't they just use a whole massive blob like this going all the way across? You know what I mean? Don't know. I'm going to do this one as well. I'm gonna do them all in. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. Maybe there's less chance of arcing or something if it's like this. Sorry, I mean, you know, with the lines. That just came straight off. I didn't let it cool. Oh, silly me. Anyway, I'll do it again. Mind you, there's lines all over the board. I wonder what the reason for that is. Maybe it's just something to do with manufacturing. Right, there you go, you can see we have a nice blob there now and a blob there. So please tell me in the comment section if that's not how it should be. Sorry, I know it's not how it should be, but is there a problem with it being like that? Because I can't see it, but I'll be educated in the comment section. Right, so now I'm hoping that I'm not even going to push those out because I don't think we need to. Now that we've blobbed out this lot here, they're sticking out a lot more now. So I don't think we need to do anything. There we go. Well, that's certainly in. 100%. I'm not going to glue it yet. Obviously I need to test to see if it works. So here we go. I'm going to say yes. Obviously I'm going to be very, 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 very careful about how I plug it in and unplug it because it's not on properly. We're in. It hasn't gone bang. Do we have voltage? I'm going to be disappointed now because I think we are going to have voltage. You beauty. Look at that. Yes. How nice is that? Come on. That's a good one. Yes. Right, I am going to begin with, put, what's it called on it? Just holding it from here. I can't believe that. That's great. I'm going to put super glue on it, and then I think, depending, realistically, I think I'm going to plastic bond it to build it all up around the edge. I know it's going to look a mess, but it's an adapter I can keep for myself rather than selling on. So, yeah. I'm sure super glue would be fine. It's just I'd be paranoid. So I'm just going to put super glue all around the edge here and put it on. But then at a later stage, for me, I might not even do anything else. but to make it safe, I'd need to put plastic bonder to properly bond here to here all the way around the edge. I've done that with the Shark fan, and I happily use that. We've used that every day in the summer. I've got no problem with it whatsoever. It's probably even stronger with the plastic bonder than it was when it left the factory. It just looks a mess. Do you know what? Should I use epoxy and then pop it in the clamp? Because epoxy is going to be stronger than super glue. Let's use epoxy. So I mix up my epoxy in my little mixing tray, which is nearly full of old epoxy, and it goes on an absolute treat because it's quite watery, you know, it goes into all the little gaps, and then I clamp it shut with my fingers, wipe away the excess epoxy, and then put it in the vise, do up the vise, and then I leave it for about an hour. So let me just cut to the video now where we're in the other room. I just want to show you this adapter now that it's all finished, but it's working perfectly, and it has been in use since. Look at that adapter. I don't think you would know that anybody's been into it. And I would say there's going to be just as much strength as there was originally. But again, I wouldn't feel safe passing it on to someone else, just in case they went to unplug it and it was in a bit of a stiff socket and this came out and then somebody else could come in and electrocute themselves. But still, that's nice. Also, for me, it's about finding out why it failed. And you see there, it was just arcing because maybe that pin just needed to be pulled out a little bit. You know, the bit that was bending over. If that was out just 1 millimetre more, then it wouldn't have been arcing. You can see now, it's coming alive. That's so good.
Summary.
So lots of items in today's one here. Amazingly, that Tiffany lamp is expensive, so I've put that down as 50% of retail, £26.79. Next up we have the Ocean Long fan. I've put it down as 50% retail, but I had to take away £10 because there's no remote, so I've got that down as 55. Clock £6, 50% of retail. The inductor heater, £0 because I can't get it working, but I might be able to fix that come January. £40 for the 3 fans, £15, £15 and £10 because that £10 one is missing its little gauze and plastic bit at the back, but I still think it's worth £10. The power lamp, £0. The pebble is going to be £5, and the 3 back massagers I've put down as £10 each, so that is £30 because some of them need adapters and the boxes are a bit like damaged and stuff. But all of these prices I think are quite realistic, so a massive total today, £162.79. Well, there we have it. I've got nearly all the items I've done on the floor here. A few of them have been used around the house. You can see that there's a clock up there. That's been changed out, and yeah, it's amazing. You sort of don't think you get through that much, but when you look at it all here, there's absolutely loads in all the nooks and crannies. So yeah, we got through a lot of items. Weirdly, I thought this whole thing was mostly bug zappers and back massagers, but looking around here, there has been quite a lot of variety. So yeah, more variety than I actually thought before I laid everything out here. So yeah, there we have it. If you ask me what was my favourite one, by far it has to be the motor repair on that cheap £15 little sewing machine there. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was on an actual high when I got that working. Honestly, I really was. And I suppose the worst item, well, the most disappointing item has to be the aquarium cleaner, the vacuum here, because it could have been fully fixable. And yeah, maybe one of the most fun items is this snowman here. So I thoroughly enjoyed that Advent challenge there. And as far as how much of the palette I got through, I would say I got through 2/3 of it. So there's still a third left, but I've actively not been trying to pick out bug zappers. A lot of the palette is bug zappers. So yeah. So I might get through more items again in the future, but they would probably be standalone videos. Or maybe I could do another little mini-series, another week or two, where I just finish off the rest of the palette. Not quite sure yet. You can put down in the comment section what was your favourite item. I think a lot of people will probably also like the sewing machine fix as well, but pop it down in the comment section. Now let's talk about, did we make any money out of it? Show me the money. Now if you look here, each day the money was tiny, and scanning down you'd say, oh, he's probably made about £250. Would you agree when you look down here just quickly? or the figures are quite small, maybe £300 at a push. Obviously that's boosted up massively. Well, I'm shocked. I honestly was expecting maybe £300. But it's come to £718, and I've added it up 3 times. Whenever I do something like this, or with tax that's not done on Excel, anything that's not done on Excel, I will add it up 3 times, and then if I get the same answer 3 times, I know it's correct. If one of those times I get a different answer, I'll add it up again and again and again until I get the same answer 3 times, then I know it's correct. Obviously Excel takes away that variable. But there you go, £718 and 3 pence, so that is a lot. But now, what did I pay for the pallet? Ta-da! I paid £343 and 98 pence. I actually got this pallet from eBay, so it's an Amazon return, but it's sold on eBay. Now, I was hoping that the pallet would have had more branded items in. I think what's probably happening is, I think the seller's probably going through, definitely not testing them, because otherwise he would have been doing easy fixes, he or she, easy fixes like the bonsai paper shredders and stuff. They are worth money, so they would have just been putting in those connectors themselves. But I think what they're doing is, they're taking out all the branded products and they're just leaving the generic stuff there, because they probably know the generic stuff is going to be harder to sell. The only branded product here really was that Karcher little tiny little pressure washer thing, you know, the portable one. Apart from that, everything else was just generic. So remember, I haven't used a whole pallet, but when I take that away from that, it reduces it massively, and the total potential profit on this series here is £379 and 5p. And as my dad would say, a profit's a profit. Obviously I've got to pay tax on that, and as he would say, if you're paying tax, you're doing something right, which is good. You know, you should be pleased about paying tax because it means you are making profit. I don't mean please, but you know what I mean. It means you've got something that works. But if you take the amount of time into it, then clearly it doesn't work. I can't tell you how much time I spent, because everything takes 3 times longer when you're filming and trying to talk through things. Also, the editing on this series here is unimaginable for anybody that hasn't done editing. If something takes you 3 hours to fix, it will take you 9 hours-ish to edit, maybe even more. It takes up a ridiculous amount of time. So can you make money on something like this? No. I think the person that's made the money is the persons that got the original Amazon pallets and took off the branded goods. I think that's where the money is, and I think this is more, if you want items for cheap, then you're going to be inundated with things like bug zappers and fan heaters and stuff. But if I had to pay full price for this sort of stuff, then it would be you'd be spending thousands. Because remember, a lot of this here I've put down as friends and family. So I think you'd struggle to make a living from doing anything like this. But what you could do is you could specialise in 1 or 2 items, and that way then you're going to have loads of spares and you can whiz through them really quickly. For example, those fan heaters now, we know that all you have to do is undo the screws at the back and push up the motor. In fact, you know what? I haven't even looked. You probably don't even have to. You can probably get your plastic pry tool while the machine is off, and you can probably just put it in there and just shove the motor up through the vent at the back. I haven't actually looked to see if there is a vent down there, but if there is, you can do that. And surely there has to be money in that now, because people would be paying £30 to £40 for those heaters, and then you could knock them out for £20, and all you've done is put them in and lifted them up. It's it's going to be a few seconds. Even if you have to undo the screws, it's not a big deal. So yeah, well, that is it. I thoroughly enjoyed this year. I really, really enjoyed this year. I know the fixes were all generic-y type stuff, but personally, it doesn't take away from the fault finding. And for me, it's all about the fault finding. I don't care what brand is on the outside. I don't even care about the resale value. I just care about what the fault is. That's where I get my enjoyment from, is trying to work out why it went wrong. So yeah, I can't explain to you how much I enjoyed doing these items here. So there we have it. The Advent videos are finished. A massive thank you to everybody that's watched and enjoyed them. Fingers crossed we can do the Advent Challenge again in 2026. So as far as 2025 goes, I've done a lot of fixes. It's been a super lovely, smashing great year. And hopefully in 2026, we can get lots more weird and wonderful fixes in too. So I've got 2 more things to say. First one is I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And second one is, more importantly, a happy and a healthy and a peaceful New Year. Thank you everybody. Enjoy the holidays. I'll see you again in January 2026. Merry Christmas. Oh, I need a Bailey's.